My name is Matthew Armstrong, this is Ditch Your Box, and I'm here with a brief message to talk to you about why I think you are so worth fighting for. Now, you might say, I don't know who you are, and most of you watching this, you'd be right. I would like to say I hope that we can change that. I'd like to know you more, I'd like to get to know you. Leave a comment below if you want to chat sometime. Seriously, we could chat, do an interview or something, or just a casual conversation, record it if you like to talk about it, like what matters in life, what's going on in the world, where you're at, what you're struggling with. I don't know what happened, but from a young age, I had this sense of just the value of people, to the point where, people I didn't even know, I would have this strong sense to let them know, how valuable they really were. And it might seem to you pretentious or weird or whatever. Trust me, in some ways it seemed weird to me. I'd end up at parties where I meet random people back in the day where, I was just partying, doing drugs and everything like that. But I'd end up in these deep conversations, even when I was sober, with people that I didn't know about how much they really mattered. So it's part of me, guys. It's just part of who I am. And, God made me this way. He just made me this way. Now, the other side that comes with this thing of me believing that you're valuable and that you matter, wanting you to really realize what an amazing gift you have in this life, and how short and how fleeting it will be, and how I want to encourage you with love and with gentleness, but also with truth, to recognize, what it means to be connected to your purpose and what really is meaningful, what matters, because all this stuff out here is just fleeting, man. Your jobs can change in an instant, your relationships can change in an instant. Everything you know about reality and what you're banking on can flip entirely upside down, and most likely, if it hasn't already, it's going to many times in your life. And that can wreck you, that can ruin you. And if you're not connected to something deeper at the end of your road, if you don't have a relationship with the source of life, a relationship with the love of God, if you're not being in tune with that thing that resonates most deeply inside of you, that makes you most alive, you're not going to look back and say, I wish I would have worked more. I wish I wouldn't have had that problem with my boss. I wish I would have, watched another episode or put on that series I missed on Netflix, or, just spend a little bit more for the better car, or any of those sort of things. We know, both intrinsically we know, that's not what we're going to be focusing on. But we know scientifically, even the studies that were done, studies that have been done about people who are at the end of their years, or on their deathbeds. And this thing about regret is not something to be ominous over you. It's something to inspire you. We have this idea that, there should be nothing restraining or restricting you. Just be whoever you want to be. And that popular conception of that is so toxic, because what it does is it distorts your perspective and your worldview to the point where if it doesn't feel good, you don't want to do it. Naturally, your decision-making process, both in your will and your mind, becomes more and more geared towards only being capable of doing things that make you feel good. And first of all, not only is that entirely shallow, but the most rewarding things in your life don't feel good, okay? I mean, I was listening to the sermon on Sunday, and this guy talked about how limited our time is going to be, how limited our time is with our kids. And if you've got children, you're watching this, he said, when I think about my children, I see, he's a sports fan, he says, I see a shot clock going down above their heads. And that shot clock that he sees in his mind is a reminder to just how fleeting the time he has with his kids are, and that one day, before you know it, they're going to be out of his house, and that right now, when he hears the the desires of his kids. When he comes home, he's tired, he's exhausted, and all he wants to do is lay down on the couch, and his son says, "Hey, Dad, will you go outside and play with me?" Or his daughter says, "Hey, Dad, come watch me do this." He says, in that moment, I say yes and I do it. Not because he even necessarily feels like it, but because he's connected to the reality that there will be a day where he will no longer be asked. And that creating that connection is more valuable than his fickle feelings. And what's crazy is when you reorient your life to what matters most, when you put in perspective how fast this thing is going to come and go, and our life in the end is going to be but like a blink, okay, and it's over, you see how that knowledge can help you reorient to become about what matters most in life. And the things that give you purpose, the things that matter most, the things that connect you to this deeper sense of being fully alive, the things that resonate the deepest with who you are, those things are not fleeting, and they are not easy, and they will not always feel good, but they are the most rewarding, and they are even eternal, I would say. And so, how does it feel to know that with your life and with your time, you didn't waste it? You didn't take it for granted. And for me, I can tell you, as someone who did lose my life, who was somebody who faced death, who literally was going to die, my greatest fear and motivator is that I wouldn't fulfill my potential, is that I wouldn't be so expended and used up, that I wouldn't take all of the gifts inside of me and all of the greatness of God that is within me and within you, and that I wouldn't allow it to be all used up, to be poured out, and to say, I didn't hold anything back. I gave it my all. And let me tell you, emptying out yourself in that way is the most fulfilling thing you can ever do. And when you feel your life becoming connected, resonating with the purpose for your life, with whether it be through maybe you're at the level to where you're ready to experience God firsthand, okay? And you're ready to get out of having to have it figured out. Your rational mind that gives you all the doubts about yourself, about life, about God, about truth, about love. That part of you, you will soon see, if you haven't already, is a two-edged sword. And it cuts both ways. And you have to learn how to go past that rational critique and over-analysis of yourself and of reality to begin to experience the thing that is most real. And that is not what you think, okay? God isn't what you think. This life isn't what you think. It's what you experience. It's what you are connected to. And what are you connected to? Are you connected to your TV? Are you connected to your job? So the point where your boss is disappointed with you, wrecks you? Are you connected to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your husband, your wife in such a way that they take precedent over everything to the point where you don't even have a sense of self-worth if they don't value you? Are you connected to the truth that you have been given the most precious gift that you could ever be given, and that is life itself? Don't waste it. Let's make something of this thing. Let's be spent and used up for good, for the purpose, for the meaning, because in the end, it's not the story that matters. It's the meaning. It's not the sentence that matters. It's the meaning of the sentence. It's not even the word that matters, but what it means. It's not your life that matters. It's what your life means. And I call that the living parable. You can find that YouTube channel, The Living Parable, my other channel. But let's live this thing together. Let's live it out. And I want to encourage you. You are loved. And there is a love for you that is so... Man, if you knew, if you knew what I know, you couldn't help but glow when you think about all the burdens and weights that people hold and carry when they don't have to, when they could be free. But it seems so scary to give into this idea, because our rational mind is really our fear of letting go, because of all the things you don't know and all the things that are uncertain. I can tell you this: I'm more certain of God's love than I am of anything else. Of anything else. The reason why is because I've experienced it firsthand. I lost my life. I went to the other side. I saw myself being operated on. I came back, and within 2 weeks, I doubted everything. I talked myself out of the experience, and then I experienced it again while I was in my flesh, while I was in my body. And you know what the core deal is that for so many people is the hang-up? Humanity would rather be enslaved and weighted down as long as they can feel that they're right. Would you rather be right or free? Because that is just a peculiar thing, isn't it? Most of us would rather be right in our own minds than free. That's why this pride thing has been a real focus for me. I mean, when I had my change, and I spent like several years literally just asking the source of life, teach me how to deal with my pride. Bring me opportunities to humble me, God, because the truth was, even from a young age, I was so prideful. I couldn't take any critique without it being like personal, like it was an attack on me. I'm playing soccer, and I'm being corrected on how to kick the ball straight. And I had to justify that. And you know what? I know that's not peculiar. Most of you are like that too, even now in your life. You can't hear correction or critique without needing to defend yourself or justify it. And let me tell you something. That isn't serving you. And I found it wasn't serving me. My pride was keeping me from the greatest things that I wanted to be. And so I said, God, teach me, show me, humble me. And let me tell you, I got situation after situation come into my life to give me the opportunity to be critiqued and told and having to face my pride, learning how to serve people who were not perfect, who were hypocrites. And instead of my pride emboldening me to justify myself when they critiqued what I wore at my job or, all these different ways, I instead embraced it and I said, thank you, God, for bringing me these opportunities to humble me. And I'll tell you what, the more that I dealt with my pride, the more I was able to experience this grace, this living life, energy of goodness and love. And I would be able to have these experiences where I come face to face with my pride before this goodness, and I let go. I just let go. I don't know how to tell you. And that goodness was so good. There was like this experience of being one with the very essence of the intelligence behind the universe, and it was good. It was good. And I'm free. I'm free to be who I want to be. I'm free to give my life to a stranger out of love. To not hold on or grasp to all the things that I otherwise want to define me and find my life in. And of course, time and time again, I have to come back to that place, because we just naturally live in a world that is constantly conditioning you, constantly reminding us of our lack, constantly reminding us of our insecurities and giving us reason to get our eyes off of what matters most, to focus on those things that are governed by our fickle feelings. Here today, gone tomorrow. Be encouraged, friends. You are worth fighting for. My name is Matthew Armstrong. This is Ditch Your Box. Be free, know truth, keep it playful. If you got anything out of this, leave it in the comments below. And by the way, you don't have to believe in God or Jesus or religion or anything to get something out of what I'm sharing with you. I don't care who you are, where you come from. I'd be called a heretic according to the church, and yet I am somebody who will tell you that I'm more certain of the love of God than I am of the rationality of man. And so, leave me a comment below, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and I next want to share with you a story about a time where my life was radically flipped upside down, where I worked hard, saw myself just achieve more and more and more as I submitted myself and became humble. God raised me up, it seemed, in this company. I became the vice president of the company, then I basically ran the company and was told I was going to inherit this business and all this money, and we're talking millions of dollars. Everything looked so beautiful, and it all came suddenly crashing down, but not in the way you might expect. I saw myself in front of lawyers and on the witness stand and with 2 false felony indictments against me. Yeah, crazy things. By the way, I'm not a convicted felon. The charges were all dropped. But let me tell you how quickly life can change. And because I was connected to something deeper than my circumstances, I actually was able to live through that as an opportunity to grow, and it grew me in ways that nothing else could. I look forward to sharing with you that next time. Peace.